Good afternoon. It's once again Friday, 5:30 in the p.m. And of course, this is your host for the next 25 minutes of Hotline 21, the most interactive television show. I am excited, as I am every week if I get a chance to interact. Of course, I just got back in town late yesterday, and I am delighted. We had what would be called a kind of short week in Washington because our last vote was actually on Wednesday morning. I stayed over because I had a speech to give Thursday over in the Senate in the Dirksen office building, talking about child welfare and talking about the large number of children in our communities across the country. Children who don't have the benefit of a regular, stable home. Oftentimes they are called foster children. That is to say that they're in the foster care system and they may end up living with someone other than their natural parents. We have also reached a point in our society where we have large numbers of grandparents raising grandchildren. Now, we've always had some grandparents and some kindred parents, cousins, aunts, uncles, other relatives who take in children because for some reason they can't live with natural parents. Sometimes their natural parents are deceased. They're gone. They have died. They've passed away. Other times there may be natural parents who are incarcerated, given the fact that we are the most incarcerated nation on the face of the earth. We currently have right now about 2.4 million individuals in our country who are in jails and prisons. Most of these people have children. And of course, if they are incarcerated, their children cannot be with them. As a matter of fact, many of them have one parent who's incarcerated. But then there are some children whose both their parents are incarcerated. So what happens to all of these children? Some of them are homeless. They live in the streets. They live in abandoned buildings. They live in cars. Some of them are used by child predators. That is, individuals who use them for sex trafficking or provide them with meager resources for sex in return. It's a terrible situation, and it becomes a part of what we call our child welfare system. We were fortunate that just the other day, an opinion that we wrote was carried in the Hill newspaper. It was put out by myself and the person who, Jackie Walorski from Indiana, who is the ranking member on the committee that I serve as chairperson, and a number of people on our staffs all combined to write this opinion to the editor, and the Hill carried it. It started out saying that although our congressional districts are only 90 miles apart, Jackie, our representative Walorski, is from the South Bend, Indiana area, and that's about 90 miles from Chicago. People might assume that a Democrat from Chicago's west side and a Republican from South Bend, Indiana, would be worlds apart. But when it comes to our most vulnerable children, we have discovered that different paths have led us to the same conclusion. And that is, children do best when they can stay safely in their own families. When parents can't provide a loving home, grandparents and other family members are the next best thing. And those family members, especially grandparents who are opting into a second shift of child rearing, are heroes and heroines who deserve our respect and support. In marking Foster Care Month this May, we see much that worries us, but also cause for optimism, as the number of children living in foster care has risen for the fifth year in a row, now at nearly 443,000 children. States are relying on relatives to care for children more than ever before. Approximately 1/3 of children in foster care are living with grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other relatives. The good news, they are thriving. Research shows that compared to those in foster care with non-relatives, children in relative foster care have safer, more stable, safe childhoods, as well as better behavior and mental health outcomes, thanks to fewer school changes and a greater likelihood of having a permanent home. Well, the upshot of all of this, and I'll be with you in 1 second, caller, is that I am encouraging families to become foster parents. That is, I'm asking individuals with stable families who can, if they would consider becoming foster parents so that these children, 443,000 of them, will have a better shot at a good, stable place to live, being cared for and protected. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today is how do we protect our children? What can we do to do a better job of protecting children who, through no fault of their own, do not have a decent place in which to live and grow up. So we thank our viewers and callers, and we'll go right to the phone and get our first caller. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Connie Davis?
I am good, James. How are you doing?
Okay, last week when you and that guy was talking last week about the violence and all this other stuff,
Yeah.
I was right. And then on the same day, Friday, the violence happened in Virginia, and then I don't know, like I said, God probably heard, like I said, God probably heard you about when you said about the violence, and then all of a sudden, what happened in Virginia? I think you and that guy, which came true about the violence. Look what happened in Virginia, and then I don't know what to say no more, Connie David. And Donald Trump now, the media, they so late. Y'all, you and that guy know what's gonna happen. Donald Trump didn't know about it, and the media didn't know until later.
Let me ask you, what can we do to prevent some of that?
Get on their knees and pray to God, because God got the last word, and God in control. Somebody like Donald Trump should get on his knees and pray to God, because he ain't protecting nobody. He ain't keeping nobody safe. None of these, nobody ain't keeping nobody safe, and all this fight need to go. Like I said once before, they should get back to the back to the Native American.
Well, I want to thank you, James, for your call and your analysis and your astuteness. And, in so many ways, you're so right. But I believe that if we put our minds to it, really, we can do a better job than what we're doing. And if you're out there in television land and you've got some thoughts and ideas of what can we do to save the children, or do we have to just go along as things are, never knowing when we'll have another weekend in Chicago where 50 or 60 shootings will take place, where some of the individuals shot will be children, some even in their mother's womb, where individuals have no real consideration of life, and they would take another person's life because they just don't understand, or maybe don't care, don't know any better. But caller, go right ahead. Thanks for calling.
Yes, Congressman, and it's a great day to be on God's green earth. And listen, you asked two wonderful questions. Well, what we can do. Number one, the one about the people killing people all over everywhere. I think we need to start putting and sensationalizing it in the news and media. Because we got crazy people want to do more damage. They want to do better than what the next man do. It gives them a reason to, I guess, go out in glory. But if something is wrong, I mean, mentally it is something wrong for a person to wake up and say, let me go and kill some people. That's something right there ain't right.
You remember the blues singer who had that song that said, if something is wrong with my baby?
Yes, it is.
He said, something is wrong with me.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what? Listen, people also got to be the blame of this. You know when you see something, someone is acting not right, you got to inform people. Let people know, hey, I just saw this man. I know him. I see him. He be there. Y'all need to do a check-up on him. Now, number two about the kids. It's a shame, ain't it? It's a shame. I mean, a dirty shame. Not just the adults are homeless and walking around, have nothing to do. The kids are the same way. You know, people, it just goes to show you what we have been saying all along. People are not people like people used to be. And it's a shame. But we know one thing. You can't bring the past to the future. So we need to address things right now as asking people to be foster parents. Yeah, it's a wonderful out there. Not no person 70 or 80 years old. We need young people to be willing to help young kids. But society is, again, it's sad. It's not want to help nobody. People don't want to help people. People want something be given to them. They know how to be appreciative and say thank you. That's the way this life is. It's a shame, but we know we got to get some young people, young couples, to be willing to just bring them in for a month, and then we got to be sure that's the right people, because they are misusing and abusing the kids, the foster kids that come in. And we know we are short of people checking up on things. And kids are young minds are so scared. You know, it's not right. They don't try to understand. They can't understand what's going on with them. Then they get scared to say something, because you don't know where you go to next bread from. If you don't know where you lay your head next, what do you do? So again, it's a shame. Like James says, we got to get God down here to clean this mess up. People don't care. And you see I'm holding up the show. And I hope everybody understood what I said. And you are a wonderful man. I'm glad to see you join the others to want to do something to an official, and that we've been saying all along. Knock on your desk if you know what I'm talking about. You know, we've been saying do this quite some time, but it's the way that you do things and the way that you got to do things. So hopefully it will happen. Hope everybody else get on board and say, let's get that person away. Listen, Congressman, thank you for taking the call.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want you to have a great day and wonderful weekend. And let me get out and hear your response.
Well, thank you so much. All right. I was fortunate today to actually be at the Marshall High School, John Marshall, and they were having what they called a halfway ceremony when kids are halfway through high school. They're sophomores, and they're getting ready to go into their junior year. They call it a half-cap ceremony. And I was so delighted to be there for a lot of reasons. One, I used to live across the street from Marshall High School. I lived on West Monroe Street. And two, I used to get my hair cut across the street on Kedzie at the barber shop right there on the corner for about 25 or 30 years. And actually, Dr. Willie Wilson and I both got our hair cut there. We had the same barber. And that was part of one of the ways that I really got to know him as well as I do. And many of the parents who were there today were just so into their children. And they were photographs, and I was able to run into the daughter of two of my best friends who both passed away, and so those were just wonderful memories. And then, of course, the granddaughter of a fellow that I know so well, but I knew the young lady's father also, James Cole, Shine King. His son was there with his daughter, and he's actually done some work for me at my home. He's an electrician and all. Oh, it was just a wonderful place to be. The principal's a great gentleman, and we just had ourselves a wonderful time. So I want to give a little shout out to all the teachers over at the John Marshall High School for the great work that I think they're doing. And I actually stated that as far as I'm concerned, of all the professions in the world, none are more important than that of teaching. And so my hat's off. Plus there are graduations taking place. Some have already taken place. And I want to congratulate all of the young people who are graduating from whatever it is, whether it's kindergarten, whether it's middle school, whether it's high school, college, university, whether they're getting doctorate degrees, bachelor's or master's. Congratulations to all of them. And so it's just wonderful to know. Yeah, we do have problems. We do have issues. We do have needs. We continue to have killings. We continue to have shootings. We continue to have poverty. We continue to have deprivation. But I can tell you we also have hope. And what I saw today just gives me another level of hope. Let me make an announcement also. On Thursday, June the 27th, from noon to 3, there's going to be a job and resource fair at Triton College Student Center in the cafeteria. That's 2005th Avenue in River Grove, Illinois. So if you have a record and you're trying to find a job, I would encourage you to go out there. I want to also congratulate Dorothy Brown, clerk of the circuit court, who had a tremendous expungement summit. And I want to thank a young member of my staff, Gerard Mora, who went and represented us and me and participated on our behalf, because I and some other members of my staff had gone last Saturday to the Sheridan Penitentiary. We took 60 children, along with their mothers or grandmothers or whoever went with them, to visit their fathers at the Sheridan Correctional Center, where they are incarcerated, and we just had a good time. Let me tell you, it was so emotional. Go right ahead, caller. I've only got a minute left. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go right ahead.
Dr. Hurt,
Yes, ma'am. I've only got about a minute.
or one of your favorite people. I enjoyed your show, and since you were talking about so many things, I just wanted you to mention that. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, Congressman, this is Dr. Hurt. I just want to mention that there are a lot of resources. Okay, a lot of resources for the public safety, because public safety is everybody's business, and the park districts and the wellness clinics, and they have a lot going, and you have a lot going at your office too.
Well, let me tell you, it's always a pleasure to hear someone as actively engaged and involved as you are. We'll be talking about our annual education luncheon and scholarship program that you are so much a part of. That's going to be at Rush Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital again. As I mentioned, our time was running out, but thank you so much for calling, and thank all of our listeners and all of our friends. I also want to give a shout out to my good friend, Reverend Walter Harris, whom I understand is getting married on tomorrow, and he is the pastor of the Clare Christian. I don't mean that. I mean the Character Centenary AME Church. And so, best wishes to Reverend Walter Harris and his new bride. Our time is up. We've got to go. Do something good for yourself and be even better to somebody else. Good, better, and best. Never let it rest till your good becomes your better and your better becomes your best. We'll see you next week.